Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the JK Experience. Dude, I don't know about you, but I am on fumes of sleep, but I am so fired up today.
Yeah, why wouldn't you be? Big day for you.
It's a big day, man. It is a huge day, I guess, kind of, sort of. But no, regardless of if it's just like one of the best days ever, it is, I'm just fired up, man. I crushed some things last night. It was awesome. I was up way past my bedtime, and then of course up early for adoration this morning. And so like literally just minuscule amount of sleep. And I am so pumped to be talking about some things that we're going to be talking about today. I know you're feeling good, but you don't sound good, dude.
Hey, I'll tell you what. I was also up late, and maybe you can hear it in my voice. I've got this killer sinus infection that I've been nursing for about the last 3 days.
Yeah.
And I feel fine. I'm not achy. I'm not sick. But everybody's certainly keeping me at arm's length because they're like, "Oh, you're sick. I don't want it."
Right.
It's all sinuses. So
yeah.
I am a little bit raspy here, but we're going to get through this.
I think you should cut an album right now. Like the way that your voice is,
yeah,
that'd be a mean album right there, dude.
Maybe I could be a mumble rapper,
right? You know, like those days that you woke up after a long night, and you like have that really raspy voice, and you're like, I got a really cool voice right now.
I should do it,
right?
Let's get.
So, what do you think of the new decor? For those of you guys that are looking and watching us on the vlog, we've got like the wall, we've got and I love this poster. Like this, when I saw this was on a Black Friday too, by the way, Black Friday sale. And I saw this, I'm like, I have got to have that. Like, that is it. I've been thinking of like, what is the perfect image that I won't want to have in this room that we do all the podcasts in? And I just absolutely love it.
So perfect.
Yeah.
It says a lot in just a few words. And that do not be afraid. That's great. That's
so for those of you that haven't watched the vlog or not seen this on the vlog, we put up a big poster in here that says, "Do not be afraid. It is written in the Bible 365 times. That's a daily reminder to live every day fearless." And we talk about being fearless in our lives so much. And we're going to talk about that today. The day, today's episode is really going to be about this theme called Chasing Your Lion. And this was based off of a book that I read that really, truly probably sent my life in another direction. And as I've told you before, I've had a number of different milestones throughout my journey. And this book, it was Play the Man, which led to another book, which was Chasing Your Lion. But both of those were written by a gentleman. He's a pastor named Mark Batterson. And I can't tell you how many books I've read, and this one right here stands out the most as Play the Man. And I have given away more copies than I could tell you to other men in my life because it's made that much of a difference and an impact. And Chasing Your Lions, and you've heard this theme from me a lot. Chasing Your Lion was a theme that has resonated with me for about a year and a half, 2 years now.
Yeah, so that was the first time I had ever heard it. And there's a lot more to the story. But when we originally started this podcast, not a lot of people know this, but it was actually going to be called Chasing Your Lion.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the marketing team decided to go with the JK Experience, a little more personal branding.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, I don't think we've deviated too far from that Chasing Your Lion because that's ultimately what we're doing. And I hope you kind of uncover that for us. And although I understand the concept, I don't know if I'm proficient enough to share the whole thing. But I want to ask you some questions on that too. So
yeah, awesome. So the whole concept of Chasing Your Lion is about chasing that big dream, that big vision that you have for your life that scares the living crap out of you. In the book, Mark talks about this legionnaire, this guy that was with King David. His name was Benaiah, and he was famous for being a really tough dude. I mean, this guy would go out and battle hundreds of men on his own, right? And one of the things that epitomized basically kind of his career was that he chased a lion into a pit on a snowy day and killed it. And you just like think about that. Like, it's really easy to just say that and like, dude, that's pretty awesome. I just want you to picture yourself back in the Roman days, back in those days where like they didn't have, it wasn't guns they were carrying, right? It wasn't the militia. It was a sword and a shield. And these men were going out and doing pretty amazing things. And to chase a lion, I don't even care if it was a baby lion, dude. Like, I am not going anywhere near a lion. And so, to do that, the courage it takes to do that, that's what about the theme of chasing your lion in your life should mean to you, right?
Yeah. Well, look at the level of commitment that takes, and I think that's also part of the metaphor. Is
right.
You know what, you better be 100% committed to going in that pit with that lion and making something happen, because one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to get the lion or the lion's going to get you.
Right. No, that's exactly right. And not only that, I think that once again, the commitment is perfectly well placed there, bud. But the other thing too is that it wasn't just like he just woke up one day and is like, you know what, I'm not prepared, but I'm going to go do this. Yes. He took a lifetime to prepare for that. There were so many events in his life that allowed him to have the courage and allowed him to have the tenacity to do that. Right.
Yep.
So when we talk about chasing your lion, I really want to dive deep into a couple of things. The first thing that comes to my mind is just this fear versus courage. How many of us live with fear in our lives on a daily basis? Right. I had a meeting this morning with a gentleman with one of our other companies, and there's some decisions that need to be made. And some of those decisions are going to be from other people that are within that organization. And he has this fear about what somebody else's decision is going to have an impact in his life. And I'm like, dude, then you need to have the conversation. You need to have the courage to have the conversation with the person to understand what those ramifications could possibly look like, not only in their life, but in your life as well too. But he was letting fear and the story that he was telling himself overcome him, and he wasn't allowed to move forward with at least even the conversation.
Yeah. I mean, in retrospect, how many times have we allowed fear to intervene so that rather than making the wrong decision, we make no decision?
Right.
And then we look back on it and go, if I had just done this, if I had just made a decision, things would have been different.
Right. Yeah. I think that once again, we get paralyzed by our indecisions. We get paralyzed by the fear of the unknown, the unknown step. We want to have it all. We want to have the roadmap. We want to have it all planned out. We want to know all the obstacles, but nothing in your life that is worth it. Nothing in your life that is exciting and life-changing happens by a roadmap.
Yeah, that's so true.
I think you have to have an idea. Don't get me wrong. I think that you have to have a vision of how you want your life to unfold. But I will tell you that you're not in control of so many things that happen in your life. Mm-hmm. So you cannot allow fear to paralyze you. So that indecision of not moving forward will actually allow that fear to continue to grow inside of you.
Yeah.
And one thing that I think it's really important for people to talk about, to understand, and this is something I've been talking to a lot with the year-end reviews that we're doing with a lot of our independent contractors, is that it's not about getting rid of fear in your life, because I believe that fear is a good thing. Fear is a good indicator on how bad you want the dream, right? Or what you're truly doing and to push yourself. So I think fear is a good thing. It's not about getting rid of fear, but it's about harnessing and getting more courage to overcome the fear. And I feel like a lot of people have this guilt in themselves that they're too fearful, that they have this fear that they don't even realize that fear is a good thing. Mm-hmm. You just need more courage.
Yeah, so, fear is one of our most primal instincts, right? There's like breathe, eat, fear. I mean, it's a thing. It's always going to be a part of human beings. The thing is if you let it control you, if you let it be too powerful of a force, then it can really, it can be a bad thing. But if you let it kind of guide you in a direction, or some people, the really good ones, it motivates them.
Right.
I don't want to be afraid of this in my business, so I'm gonna hit it head on.
Yes.
So I think it could go one of two ways there.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. That's great. The other thing is at the end of the year, one of the things that we do is as a company and throughout our companies is we bring in the one word book again.
Yep.
Right. We talk about what's the one word that you want as your theme for the next year, and you're supposed to spend some time with that. And if you've never read the book, I highly recommend you guys reading the one word. It's the one word that changes your life. Yep. And anyways, as you're thinking about that, I want you thinking about how is it going to impact every area of your life. So my word for this year was action, because everything that was leading up into 2019, man, I had a lot of great vision. I had a lot of great things that I wanted to accomplish. I had a lot of great roadmaps. I was lacking the action behind it all. I was praying on stuff. I was thinking about stuff. I was festering on stuff. And with no action behind it, it was still in my book. It was still in my head. It was still on that piece of paper. And I realized very fast that action had to be something that I was going to do proactively in my life in order to start chasing those lions.
Well, you talked about this. You and I sat down and we had a long conversation about this I think it was like February. And you said, hey, listen, you know what? And we were looking at your whiteboard. And you're like, hey, I have this whiteboard full of ideas. What my goal is to implement, take action on everything on this board. And kudos to you. Look at the great things that you've done in this last year by taking that action.
Right.
I mean, you've got the book coming out. We've done some great things with this podcast.
Yes.
We've done great things in the companies. So you have really done that. You've really followed that. Now, did you take action on everything you wanted to? My guess is probably not.
No, that's correct. Yes.
But a lot better than the previous year.
Yes.
So having that word, being intentional about it, I think you would accomplish some great things.
Yeah, and you're right. As I look back on the year and think of the things that were done this year, absolutely, I get to enjoy it. And once again, that's why I love this time of the year, because you're able to sit back and actually enjoy somewhat of the fruits of your labor, so to speak, right? And then, one of the things is you hear a lot of common themes on our show. You hear, you got to have a circle of people, that you got to fill your cup daily, that you got to shut out the bad voices. And those are all that's a part of chasing your lion, right? It is so important. As I continued to do the things in my life that were important, and especially as you elevate and chase even bigger lions, it is so important to make sure that circle of people that you have around you is dedicated and motivated to help you achieve some greatness, because not all people are going to support you.
Yeah. So it's funny, but as you were saying that, their life is going to punch you in the face.
Right.
Like that's inevitable. If you're trying anything, if you're chasing any type of lion at all, it's going to happen. You're going to experience setbacks. You have to have some confidence in your sphere and those people around you that they're not going to lay down and die with you. They're going to pick you up, dust you off, and say, hey, we got to keep trying.
Yeah. And so as you're thinking about that, one thing that I want to add to that, and this is as I was kind of thinking about this show today, is that a lot of the times we just don't commit, right? I mean, we think about stuff, we maybe vision cast, we write stuff down, we say that we're going to take action on it, but we never physically commit to the things and the priorities in our life that are truly supposed to be important, right? Mm-hmm. How many conversations, James, are you having with agents when they say, hey, I want to do this, or hey, I'd like to do this, or hey, I'm going to do this? Those are all things in the future. It's like you have to take action on it. You have to be committed to doing and taking steps in order to achieve it. Because if you do not commit to it, you're never going to achieve it. You're never going to make any ground moving forward.
Yeah. So the neat thing about our business plan is it's kind of worked in reverse.
Yeah.
You set your income goal, you set your overall goal, and then it reverse engineers, it works it backwards. And so rather than I have to achieve this certain dollar amount next year, it breaks it down to what you need to be doing every hour or every half hour to achieve that goal. And then the neat thing about being in these meetings is you look at that agent and you say, are you willing to do this hour by hour, day by day to get here?
Yeah.
And sometimes they're like, I don't know if I can commit to that.
Right.
But the ones who say, yeah, I can do that, they've already made up their mind. And I feel like those people have a much greater chance of achieving that goal than the people who go, I don't know.
Yeah, that is so true, buddy. You know, when you've committed to it, like when you've internalized it, you know, just looking back on the 75 hard, right? I was committed before I even started.
Yeah.
And it took time though. You know, if I would have tried to do the 75 hard the moment that I read or listened to the podcast, or if I would have, you know, the day after, dude, I would have failed miserably.
Sure.
You know, I didn't have the people around me. I didn't have the support and the network, but I also didn't have the commitment from myself. So anytime that you're going to go chase this lion in your life, you can do everything else. But if you haven't made that internal commitment personally, it doesn't matter who you've got around you.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you've got to take ownership of it, right? You have to own whatever it is that you're doing, and then you surround yourself with supportive people who are going to challenge you, first of all, to achieve that goal,
Yes.
and then also pick you up when you fall down.
Yes, exactly. So I'm reminded daily, man. I just absolutely love the quote that you and I wordsmith this year. And that quote, of course, is if the person you are today doesn't inspire the person you were a year ago, you are not challenging yourself enough. And it is something that drives me every day. Like when I think about chasing my lions, when I think about the next step, the next move, I look on this quote on a daily reminder, man, about how it's going to push me to continue to reach another level.
Yeah, so do I. This quote is in my mind on a daily basis because, you know, I made huge leaps in my first year in the business with you.
Right.
I've got to do better next year, right?
Yeah.
So as I look forward, I go, all right, what does the guy a year from now have to do to impress me?
Right.
And so I'm looking at that. And as you and I have talked, I've taken on some additional responsibilities, or I will be taking on some additional responsibilities.
Yeah.
And so I can look back and go, yeah, that guy's admirable.
Right.
So yeah, daily for me.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, that is, you bring up such a great point, because sometimes you're like, how am I going to top this?
Yeah.
Right. And as you are thinking about this is why it's so important for you to be looking at every aspect of your life, because there might be a season in your business where, like, listen, we're good right now. Like, we're going to continue to keep growing, but we've got to actually take care of some of the internal things in order to make sure that we're growing correctly. Right. But maybe you have some opportunity to say, you know what? I'm going to take some time now to really crush my personal goals that I have for myself in my life. Or, you know, listen, I've always wanted to run that marathon, and I know that it's going to take a big commitment. You know, when you train for a marathon, it becomes a part of it becomes your life.
Yeah.
So some other things in your life do have to kind of sit on the second tier, right? So it doesn't just have to be one thing all the time in one area of your life. And that's why it's so important for you to sit back, have people around you to say, dude, you're crushing this part of your life. That's great that you're so focused and you've done amazing for the last 5 years in it. But I've noticed you're really hurting in the spiritual part. Or I noticed that, listen, your health and fitness is kind of taking a back seat, dude. You got to get back into it. What are we going to do? Right? What are we going to do to help you get back into the shape that you need to be in so that you can continue to crush it in these other areas of your life?
Yeah. So, and you better have that kind of accountability partner. You better have somebody who can recognize those things, somebody that you've given that trust to, so that you don't take it as an insult when
Right.
it comes.
Yes.
You know, and you and I have talked about this. We share accountability with each other, and you've allowed me to keep you accountable, and vice versa.
Yes.
So if that happens, and you know, as you're talking, I'm like, man, is he talking to me right now?
Right.
So, and I know that you and I can have those conversations. You say, hey, listen, James, I know you are scared to death of that gym. But
Right.
maybe that's your lion.
Yes.
Right? So I don't know that. And we can talk about that in the future, but you bet you have to have somebody that you admire and respect who is going to keep you. Maybe it's a significant other, maybe it's your spouse.
Yes.
But you have to have somebody who can say, hey, I think you're doing a great job over here, but what about this spot?
Yes.
So that is an accurate statement right there.
And that's where that great question comes in, right? Where, hey, what do I not know? What do you know about me that I don't know about me that I need to know?
Yes.
That's just such a great question. We've talked about that before on previous podcasts. And if you haven't asked that question to anybody in your life, you need to do that. You need to have the courage to go through there, man. All right. So, hey, listen, we've been throwing a lot at you, but I really, at the end of the day, what are you doing to chase your lion? What are you doing to make sure that all of these big ideas, all of these goals that you have and you want to accomplish this coming year, that they're a part of this lion chasing in your life, right? And I will leave you with this. I said this before, I said this on a podcast previous to this, but what is the one thing? Sometimes we get paralyzed about so many lions in our life that we need to chase and so many things that need to be accomplished. What is the one thing? What is the one big lion that if you chased it, it would change everything?
Yeah. So, I mean, in identifying that, you've got to get real introspective on this deal, because maybe it's just something that is just out of reach or seems just out of reach.
Yes.
But with the proper support and the proper preparation, you could make it happen.
That's exactly right. Yep. What good does dream and do, man, if you don't go chase it, right?
You got it.
You know? All right. Well, hey, as always, you guys, we appreciate you being on the show. Thanks so much for listening. I hope this was impactful. I hope that you guys are taking away some great nuggets, and I hope you implement this, and I hope you chase your lion.